Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be testing out and reviewing the newest concealer from Milk Makeup. This is their Future Fluid All Over Cream Concealer. It retails for $29 US and you can find it in 30 different shades. I grabbed the shade 9 Neutral to test out today. It is a light medium shade with neutral undertones. As far as the description for this concealer, it is meant to deliver medium to full coverage and it's going to give us a natural finish. Now this is a multi-use hydrating formula, so you can use it all over the face. You can use it to spot conceal, to highlight, to contour, and just, in case you want to skip out on the foundation, you can use it all on its own. The formula also contains some skincare ingredients such as caffeine, aloe vera, and hyaluronic acid. And of course, since it's Milk Makeup, you know that this is cruelty-free. It's also vegan and gluten-free. So let's get started with this review. You guys know the drill. I'm going to be wearing this all day long for a good 8 hours. And I'm also going to be wearing this concealer in 2 different ways. On the right side, you're going to see it on top of a color corrector. And on the left side, you're going to see the concealer on its own to see what kind of coverage this truly does deliver. Remember, medium to full coverage. I'm assuming that it's a buildable formula, since it's categorized as medium to full. Now, as far as which corrector I'm going to be using, I believe based on it being a hydrating formula with a natural finish, I'm going to go with my Sigma corrector. This is the Spectrum Color Correcting Duo. I use the shade medium to dark. Looks like this. I like this formula. It's a pretty hydrating formula. It stays in place. It's not as emollient as my Becca and Smashbox color corrector. So it is hydrating, but not as hydrating as this one. So just applying a little bit of the corrector right here. And I don't have anything underneath the eyes other than my skincare for the day. So I'm gonna skip through the foundation portion of this because, we're here for the concealer, right? All right, foundation is on. Let's apply some concealer. So this is a little packaging for the concealer, very unique. I've never seen a concealer in this type of a package. And also check out the applicator. It's like a cone, like an upside down ice cream cone. So this is going to fit really nicely underneath the eyes, or if you're just trying to spot conceal, or if you are trying to, contour, highlight, whatever it is. I like the fact that you have the option to be either really precise with it straight down, or you can also get a wider area with the applicator on its side. So here are a couple of swatches. This is what it looks like straight out of the tube, and this is what it looks like after it's sat for a little bit. And here's a closer look of that. There doesn't seem to be too much of a difference, which is good. Since this is a buildable concealer, I'm gonna start off slow, see where we're at, and then build it up a little bit if we need to. And I'm gonna start over here on the right side. I'm just gonna apply a little bit right there. And I'm gonna do the left side as well. Since this is more of a hydrating formula, I don't foresee this drying down really quickly, like before I can get to blending it out. So I'm just gonna apply the same amount, or a very similar amount, on the left side. So I'm gonna blend it out with my Real Techniques Expert Concealer Brush. Let's see what this looks like. And I'm just keeping the product where I feel like I need it. I wanna avoid applying too much since this is a hydrating concealer. That could be bad news if you apply way too much underneath the eyes. All right, that concealed really nicely. I can still see a little bit of darkness peeking through, just a tad, so I might build it up a little bit. But before I do that, let's go ahead and take care of the left side. I really am curious to see how much this conceals. It looks a bit brighter and a bit lighter than what I thought it was going to, honestly. And a little yellow for it being a neutral shade. It seems to be pulling a little more on the yellow. All right, so there it is underneath both eye areas. I think I am gonna build it up just a tiny bit right there and a tiny bit right here. So again, just a little bit right here and a little bit right there. Okay, so I've got to be honest. At first, I really didn't like it, okay? When I was first applying it, the first layer, especially on its own, it looked patchy. It did not look like, smooth enough. It just wasn't delivering enough coverage. Of course, you guys saw that. But it builds up beautifully. It looks better on top of itself than by itself. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's setting and that's why it looks a little bit better. I don't know, but it looks a lot better than it did before I went in with additional product. And I'm gonna go back with my foundation brush and just kind of blend in between. It is a very brightening formula. I mean, look at this. I thought I got a shade that would match my foundation, but this is definitely giving us highlight underneath the eyes. Now, as far as coverage, it looks like it's completely concealing the under eye area, but I am starting to see some settling. So I am gonna absolutely be setting this concealer in place. I mean, you can definitely see it over here, right? And I think a little bit over here. So it is starting to settle just a little bit. Now with this being a hydrating formula, I don't foresee setting it to be an issue. When it's a matte formula, that's when I'm kind of like, ooh, do I really want to set it? Do I really not want to set it? Because if I do set it and it's a really matte formula, you know it's going to look like the Sahara Desert underneath your eyes. But when it's a hydrating formula, sometimes they need it and it doesn't affect the way that they look, or it won't affect them too much, as much as like a matte formula, let's say. So let's go ahead and set it really quickly. I'm using my Oma Trip and Smooth setting powder in the shade Light, which looks like this. So I want to make sure that everything is blended out before stamping it with our setting powder. All right, everything is good to go and set. Let me bring you guys in so that you can see what the under eye area looks like right after applying it. All right, so here's the under eye area up close. Remember, this is the color corrected side. Looks pretty full coverage. And this is the side that we did not color correct. It looks like it has pretty high coverage, but you can clearly still see the darkness underneath. All right, so now that you've gotten a close up, you guys know the drill. Let me jump off camera one more time, finish the rest of my makeup, and I will be right back. All right, makeup is done. Time to continue on with the day. It's a little bit of a later start for me. It is 1:14 in the afternoon. Usually I start these around like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, but I had a lot going on today, and Luna and I went out on like this huge long walk that I was not expecting. I was gonna just take her on a 30-minute walk. It turned into twice that, and we were just kind of all over the neighborhood. By the time we got back, I had to just, shower, do the whole thing over again because I felt disgusting. So starting a little later, but we are going to finish the day a little bit later. And of course, per usual, you are going to see a midday check-in from me under natural lighting. We'll see what the concealer is doing at that point and whether or not it still looks good. As of right now, I feel like it looks pretty decent. Personally, I like it over on this side a little bit more. And the shade is kind of bothering me because it did pull a little bit more yellow. So it looks a little tiny bit more yellow underneath the eyes. However, all that aside, it looks good. The under eye area looks concealed and it doesn't look heavy. It doesn't feel heavy. It feels pretty smooth. And I would say that we're getting similar coverage underneath both eye areas. I don't know. What do you guys think? Personally, that's how I feel about it. So yeah, let's continue on with the day and I will see you all back here in a few hours for my midday check-in. All right, I'm back for a quick midday check-in. It is currently 4:58, so I've had this on for a good 4 hours, I believe, at this point. This is what the concealer looks like. I'm pleasantly surprised. It looks really good. It still looks pretty smooth. I'd say maybe a tad bit dry, maybe, but smooth for the most part. And it's still concealing really well on both sides. Anyway, we haven't finished the day, so I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I'll be wearing this for about another 4 hours before calling it done. So I will see you back here in a few more hours for my final check-in. All right, I am finally back for my final check-in of the day. It is currently 8:50. So almost a solid 9 hours. Now, before I get into how this wore underneath both eye areas and what I think about this concealer, I'm going to zoom you guys in one last time so that you can get an up close look at the under eye area after wearing this concealer all day long. All right, so this is what we are left with at the end of the day. As a reminder, this is the side that we color corrected with a Sigma corrector, and this is the side without a corrector. All right, it is now the second day. It's the day after I got done filming what you guys just saw. I wasn't expecting on filming this. As you can see, like I have a mess behind me. There's a mess in this room. But I did want to, now that it's the end of the day, it is currently 8:27 p.m. I wanted to fill you guys in on what I did. So I wore the concealer again. Okay. We wore it again today, and I paired it with my Becca corrector. I still had to set it with the Trip and Smooth setting powder. I had to because it continued to settle into fine lines, and I wore it with the Becca corrector. Personally, I think it wears better on top of that specific corrector for me. It doesn't look like I've gotten a lot of coverage though. And the one thing that I did notice from today is that, and perhaps I kind of didn't really notice yesterday, I don't know, it's too light. The shade that I grabbed, which I thought was a good shade match for me, it's too light. It's just, I mean, you guys saw yesterday, it just really brightened up the under eye area for me, which is fine, but I think that that's why I'm not getting better coverage with this particular concealer at the moment. Let me zoom you guys in so that you see what it looks like today. I personally feel like it still looks a little bit dry, but not as dry as it did yesterday. And it looks a little bit smoother. It looks a little bit smoother. Coverage wise, not there. All right, not there. But it does look better than yesterday. So let me zoom you in. So here it is. I believe I've been wearing this for a good 9 hours today. There is no difference underneath the eyes today. Both under eye areas have the Becca corrector and they're both set with the same setting powder. And I used the same amount of concealer underneath both eyes. Overall, a better combination, but I'm still not getting the coverage that I want. So after day number 2, I can safely say that, in my opinion, for me, this concealer is good, not great. All right. And I say that for a few reasons. It's good because I love the shade range, although the shade that I got, I think is a little bit too light for me. So if I do end up, wanting to give this another try, I might have to exchange the shade that I have for something a little bit deeper. For 2, the ingredients are great. Right? Skincare ingredients. Of course, the formula is vegan. It's a cruelty-free brand. I mean, it has a lot of good qualities. However, if you do need to conceal dark circles underneath the eyes and you're wanting to get more than just light, medium coverage, medium, high coverage, not full coverage, but if you're wanting to get anything higher, you are going to have to set this formula because it is pretty creamy. It does settle into your fine lines no matter what. No matter how long you wait for it to set, the natural finish won't allow it to completely set to something that you don't have to set, or something that's not going to settle into your fine lines. So it's going to settle. You're going to need to set it. And in my experience, setting it just makes it look really dry. It really did kind of wear off today for me. So of course there's that. So personally, do I hate it? No. I've worn worse concealers. You guys know this. You guys have seen it. So no, I don't hate it. I don't think it's a bad concealer. I just don't think that it's for me. I don't think that it's for someone who is trying to truly conceal darkness because, like I said, if you use anything more than a small amount, it's going to settle. You're going to need to set it and it might look dry. So overall, like I said, good, not great. So that completes today's video, finally. Thank you all so much for watching. I truly hope that you enjoyed today's video review and that you found it helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on future videos. And also, don't forget to follow me over on Instagram, where I absolutely love to interact with you guys. As always, take care, and I will see you all in the next video. Mwah! Bye.